What's up? You are now listening to Americanized, a storytelling podcast where you'll hear from eclectic first and second generation Americans share their stories and real life experiences as children of immigrants. I'm your host, Roslyn, and you have entered the Blender Love series. This is a series that highlights the experiences of those in interracial relationships. This episode shares part 2 of Miguel's story. We talk a lot about food, gender roles, and of course, the benefits and challenges of being in such interracial relationships. Stay tuned. Okay, I was just remembering what you said earlier and I had some questions. You mentioned you and your partner living together and then not being married. Is that something that's emphasized in your family? Or is your family religious?
Oh, that's a good question. My mother is a Jehovah's Witness, so very traditional in that way. And considering that she's a Jehovah's Witness, she's actually pretty chill, but definitely expectations for marriage and children and all those things. I think I was lucky to have an older brother that kind of broke all those barriers and ice before me. Mm-hmm. Moving away or going away to college, living with a partner before marrying, all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't super weird for me, but I definitely feel the pressure to kind of settle down, even though that might not be exactly how we are going to go about our relationship, mm-hmm. There's always a jibe at any family gathering is your brother just had a kid, you're next, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely something that's emphasized, but I've kind of did a lot of the work to make sure that my life is independent enough that I don't feel too much pressure about it, I guess.
Right. And as independent as you are, do you ever feel a sense of guilt for being as independent as you are, coming from an immigrant family?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not for my immediate family because I'm pretty responsive with them. I'm very involved with my parents, and I try to be around my brother as much as I can, and my nieces. My brother has 2 little girls. Mm-hmm. So I'm constantly doing the work to make sure that I'm there with them. But like I said before, because of my basically non-existent relationship with the island and actually going down there, if that particular family member wasn't in America, we don't really have tons of an actual relationship. Of course, I love them and I care about them and I want them to do well, but there's definitely a feeling of guilt there for sure. Yeah
for sure. Yeah, I feel that. I feel in a weird way, since moving out and being married, that's kind of the expectation, so I guess there's less guilt having followed that expectation. Right. Yeah. On your side, I guess, a little rebellion. But you're doing you're living your life, and your parents can only do so much.
Totally. And I don't know, or at least I feel like I try to do so much for my parents because you got to pay it back. Mm-hmm. That I never have a feeling I'm a bad son or something. You know what I mean? I never have that feeling because I'm constantly checking in. I'm constantly making sure that they're cool, in all areas of their lives. But it's more with the extended family for sure. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know, we just don't have relationships, and that's very weird for them. They all grew up in the same neighborhood in DR, being with each other all the time. Play cousins basically, right? So I think it's foreign to them for me to be so independent and to not be as involved with the larger family, I guess.
Right. It's as shocking and, as that is, going back to expectations, being in a different country and being so far away from them, even, speaking the same language, there is going to be a strain in that relationship, or not have one at all.
Totally. And I know that I'm fluent in Spanish, but even then they're your Spanish is rudimentary, sometimes I'll be searching for a word and they're oh, there he goes again,
Oh gosh. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Our families are just Like as much as they want to, have this relationship with you, they make you feel like you can't do that in a funny and endearing way. But I feel like, especially with the language piece, when you're trying to communicate with them and they kind of attack you for, not attack, but lightly attack you for not speaking fluently well, it's like, forget this relationship. I'm done trying.
Right, right. It definitely creates like an extra barrier that doesn't necessarily need to be there. But I get it, like you got to rib people. I think I don't know about what like the Ivory Coast culture is like, but there's constant like making fun of each other kind of camaraderie in my especially my generation of my family. Like all of my male cousins were like athletes, and they're that kind of locker room ish culture definitely pervades our relationships, which is I think part of the thing, I guess.
Yeah, I feel that the same with my family, like always laughing and making fun of each other, and they will make fun of the way me and my siblings try to speak the language. And as funny as it is, it does hurt a tiny bit because I am trying. It's still funny. It's really surface level fun, nothing deep, not a deep hurt.
Totally.
Going deeper into family traditions and cultures or pieces of your heritage in your relationship, and maybe down the line, if and when you choose to have children, are there things that you have kept, traditions that you created, traditions that you have completely like let go of? Like, what does that look like for you?
That's a good question. Because the if and when is very true for me. Like we still haven't like decided if we are gonna go down that path and what it would even look like. But I know for me, like I'm preface this with like my parents are fabulous and everything like that. But I imagine in both of our cultures, martial punishment was a thing. The sandal, la chancleta, a belt, maybe. I don't know. Like
belts, yeah.
that was a part of the thing. And I definitely don't want to do that, and understanding like how traumatic that can be for a kid. I wouldn't necessarily call it trauma for me, but like, again, the culture is very different, American versus Dominican, on how to discipline a child. So I'm definitely not going to do that. And I think the kind of heteronormativeness of our cultures, I would say, I mean, my partner uses they them pronouns. Technically, I am in a queer relationship, right? Which is definitely already out of pocket in a way, right? So the very traditional gender roles, all that kind of stuff, are probably not going to be part of any sort of parenting if that were to happen. So outside of that, like, I don't know. I think the family values, I think, are really important. I think my parents instilled in me a very like treat others the way you want to be treated type thing. Help your neighbor. All the beautiful parts of being part of a community. I think I learned from my parents. So I think I would instill that in any child that I raised.
Yeah, that's a good point and a beautiful piece too, like coming from such close-knit communities, like those values that you grew up with or that you see or like you realize later on, it might not always look that way in childhood, are great pieces to instill in your relationship. And then, if and when kids come into the picture, but even just in your relationship.
Totally.
Just the caring part. Yeah. And the contrast with American independence and, doing for yourself as opposed to the we, the us, and the community.
Definitely. And I guess on an even like lighter note, like I my partner's a great dancer. I will preface that with this.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent, can move, do the thing. But there are, very specific dances that you do as a person from the Caribbean, or like bachata, salsa, merengue, like all these types of dances. And I'm not a bad dancer. I'm not a great dancer, but I think by my parents' standards, I'm not that great. So maybe I can instill some um, dance ability in a kid. And my partner has made the effort in learning some traditional like Latin ballroom dance to kind of
Mm-hmm.
connect. And like, my brother got married a couple of years ago, and at the party, the after party, we were dancing, and like I could see all of my family being impressed with the fact that like my partner could bachata well.
Yeah, it's just the little thing. It's so funny. Like, I guess talking about sharing your culture too. Um, being Dominican and having such a rich culture, what other pieces of your culture have or is shared in your relationship?
Food's a big one.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Um, I like to cook a lot. It's one of my pastimes. Like it's one of the things that like gives me solace when I'm like struggling with the artistic pieces of my
Mm-hmm.
life. Um, and I think the most Dominican thing about me is the way I cook, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I started to like move out and be on my own, it was the first thing I asked my mom. I was like, "Can you teach me like your and grandma's recipes like right now? Like I need to understand how this works and to be able to do it on my own."
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I tell you, like, I mean, I think anyone who's learned from an auntie or a grandma knows, like, they don't write stuff down. You got to watch.
No, yeah, exactly.
You got to make sure you know what's going on. So, like, I spent a lot of time learning and kind of redoing and practicing those recipes enough that I can kind of do
Mm.
them in my sleep. And I think it's probably, I cook a lot. So, I cook a lot of different cuisines, but like, I think the Dominican stuff I do, um, is probably my partner's favorite meals that I make. So
Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing that you just memorized the cuisine. It's amazing that your mom and grandma allowed you to, watch them in the kitchen and soak up their recipes. My mom is the opposite. Like now she's open to sharing her like how she cooks her foods with me, but before, if I wanted to help her in the kitchen, it would be like stay out of her way, stay out of the kitchen. So now I'm like, how do you make these things? Even like the simplest things that I want to make from my culture. It's like I'm texting or calling her because I don't know how to do it. And like she's open. So since us being married and living together, I think I've only cooked like sadly 2 or 3 traditional meals.
it'd be
It's a
like that
lot.
sometimes.
It's a lot.
There's no shame in it. Shit.
No,
Um,
and I guess that goes into like gender roles. Typically the women cook, but it sounds like for in your relationship and in mine, my partner cooks more and he has an Italian background, so it's a lot of yummy Italian food weekly.
nice.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean I enjoy it. And especially when I was uh doing music full time. I'm in higher education right now. I work at one of the music schools in the area.
Mm.
But when I was just a grad student, for example, and gigging and teaching and just doing that, it made more sense for me to be the one in the kitchen because I had the time to do it.
Right.
And but my partner was working more of a traditional 9 to 5 and stuff like that. So like if I could put something on the stove, and let it run at like 10 or 11 in the morning,
Hmm.
why not? So I think there's definitely a lot more nuance in how we might approach things just out of convenience, uh,
Convenience, yeah.
because of our interracial and just like cross uh, business or cross careerness of it all.
Absolutely. In my cultural background, I feel like the stereotype is African men don't cook. You won't find them in the kitchen. That's the woman's job. And me being African, that's the expectation I went into my marriage and thinking I have to cook all the time, or this will be my job when I come home and cook. But Parker, he's non-traditional and understanding because he works from home. So like you're already home. You have access to the kitchen, and he enjoys cooking and he's really good at it. And it's like kind of breaks up that routine for him. Like he's not just gonna be on his computer all day and then like sit on the couch. Like he wants to be creative and adventurous in the kitchen. And I think that works out well, but I don't know. I'm still carrying this burden of I should be the one in the kitchen cooking, and I don't want to be, but it's like, I should be.
That's really interesting. I definitely have felt that like sometimes I'll be talking about cooking with my parents around, but like a family friend, or like my godfather was around a couple of months ago, and he was hearing me talk about cooking. He's like, "Oh, you really like cooking, huh?" And kind of like with that, like not like a shaming way, but like that's different.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
And I love that. And I feel like a lot of the top chefs in our country are men. So it makes sense.
Yeah. Deal with it.
Yeah, it's fine. I have to let go of that thing. And I think I have. It's just there's some piece of me that's like, this doesn't feel right. But it's the convenience for me. Like I don't know why I'm complaining when I'm all set. Like I don't have to do anything.
For sure. That's interesting you say about gender roles. Like I said, I'm an artist, right? So like I'm constantly like kind of going from gig to gig. Like I'm thankful that I can make a career in that way. But even the gender role of like who is the one who's like bringing in the money, we're pretty equal. But like my partner definitely has a more stable, predictable career than I ever will, because I'm kind of always all over the place. And that's, typically the man's role or whatever, which is BS. For the record, I do pay my fair share, but yeah, I don't think we abide by honestly any gender role. Now that I'm thinking about it.
No, I think you're right in that a lot of people don't. There's such a shift in, like you said, convenience, and the world right now is just a hot mess. So whoever can do what they can is what is happening.
Totally.
Like if it's the woman, having a larger income, that's how it is. If the man is at home cooking, that's how it is. And I think a lot of America is letting go of those gender roles, like as a whole. This generation, I should say.
I was gonna say definitely our generation for sure, but there are some old heads who are holding on to it for dear life.
Oh goodness, yeah, no, you're right. It's crazy. We're talking about food. I wanted to know, what is your favorite meal to cook?
Oh, that's a good question. I think one of like the base recipes that my mom taught me, it's called moro, which is like a flavored rice, or a rice and beans that's like stewed over a little bit of time. It's really not very complicated, but it is quite delicious. It was one of like the first things I learned to make that I felt like, oh wow, I can do this. I can make good food. And it also, I think, is one of those dishes that you learn a bunch of little techniques that you can apply to a bunch of different things, right? Like how to really make rice really well, how to make a soup really well, because you're basically making a soup that the rice kind of drinks up. Chopping, cleaning things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So moro with like a protein of your choice. I'm a meat eater, but my partner's pescatarian, so like either some sort of fish or chicken. And a side salad. Very simple, but it hits all the groups, and it's very comforting.
Yeah, it sounds really good. It's called moro?
Moro, yeah, Moro.
Okay, cool. And is there a Dominican restaurant that you enjoy going to?
There's so many in JP. There are so many. If you want something like a bit like kind of newer, I guess, there's a new bar that just opened up on Center Street called Top Mix. which is like it's definitely a Dominican spot. Like but like they also have some more Americanized things, fish and chips, and the drinks are really excellent. I think they already had a spot in Dorchester, and they just opened up the new location, so that's pretty dope. But honestly, like any place in JP will get you going. Oh, actually, there is a spot if you like frituura, like fried food, like just Dominican fried food, like pork rinds, all that kind of stuff. There is a spot that I have been going to since I was a little kid called Yelly's, and it's just very nostalgic for me. It's this little hole in the wall across from the Stop and Shop next to Jackson Square, and it's just delicious. Very bad for you, but very good for your soul food.
I love that. I'm gonna check those places out. I work at a school, predominantly children of color, which I love, and one of my students is Dominican, and we talk about his family and the dynamics and his culture. And he said he likes this restaurant called Merengue. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's Rosendale, Mattapan.
There's a merengue right on that Dorchester Mattapan line. Fun fact that story I told you about earlier, where I walked into a place and the little old lady chef was like, "You're a Landestoy? Which one are you?" That was merengue restaurant.
Was it? That's
I'm telling you, we all know each other.
Yeah, small world.
For sure.
That's so funny.
I don't know. I mean, the whole impetus of this was interracial relationships. I mean, like, I think if folks are out there who are thinking like being in an interracial relationship is hard, it's because it can be. But if you treat it with the care and love that you would in any other relationship, and you truly care about the person in front of you, then it's going to work out, because that's way more important than any of the stigmas or stereotypes that others place on you. If you fall into those and let those take you for a ride, you've lost half the game. You got to get back on the bike.
Well said. You talking about the hardships? What was, if you don't mind sharing, if it's okay to share, the more challenging pieces of being in an interracial relationship for you?
I love my partner's family. I think they're all excellent, wonderful human beings. But you're going to get microaggressions literally anywhere. And the more you put yourself in those situations, the more microaggressions you're going to get. So learning how to navigate those effectively, and making sure that I was comfortable enough in those spaces to be able to speak out. If I saw something that was kind of messed up, or heard something that was kind of messed up, which I haven't, honestly, especially in like years. But I also feel like part of the family enough to not to feel very like safe and I guess loved in those spaces, to a point where I don't feel those things anymore. But definitely at the front, like after the initial meeting of people and everyone's kind of on their best behavior, is when you start to maybe see like, oh, what you said is kind of racist. I don't know how I feel about that. And making the choices on how you're going to deal with it, for sure.
You made a good point about that comfort of, and in using the word family, that comfort of being in your partner's family and them accepting you as one of them and you accepting them as a part of your family as well, and not feeling so much as an outsider. At what point did you feel, or do you feel as not an outsider?
Oh, that's a good question. Honestly, I think it's all tied back up to an unfortunate event. Honestly, my partner lost their uncle/godfather a couple of years ago, and through that, like the whole grieving process of the funeral and everyone like trying to be tight knit post losing who was basically like the patriarch. that was when like the switch happened because I was around. Like they invited me to play some music at the ceremony for the funeral, which was like I felt really like blessed that I could give that as a gift. But also like the fact that they even asked was very touching for sure. And then they do this family reunion that they call like Cousin Palooza. They were doing like every other year or so, but I think after that event happened, or when that loss happened, they were like, we need to make sure that we do that this year. And it was the first time that I went, and it was the first time that my partner brought somebody. So spending like 4 or 5 days like living in a place and like going on a vacation with them was definitely like like you're a person and you're cool and you're like one of us basically. And we're all from the same area of Massachusetts, and we all have a lot of the same issues, some more than others, person of color, but I think that process, like there was a traumatic event and I was like a part of the family for that event. So I that would probably be it, I'd say.
Right. Well, I'm sorry to hear about the loss. But I don't want to say this in the wrong way. But special that you guys became closer.
For sure.
The family following that unfortunate loss.
Yeah. No, for sure. It was obviously very unfortunate. And I feel like definitely I saw their family come together in a way I hadn't before, post that unfortunate loss.
That's really beautiful. With that, what is the best part for you experiencing this relationship that you're in?
I mean, I love the little family unit we've kind of figured out here. We're non-traditional all the way. So we live with, it's me and my partner, but we also live with my partner's like best friend, like platonic life partner type friend, who's also now I've gotten very close with, and we're friends. And we live with a mutual friend of all of us as well. It's Boston. You got to pile up people to be able to afford any actual space.
Yeah.
So it's the 4 of us living in this place with a dog. His name's Scooter. He's adorable. And yeah, we have this little unconventional but very strong family unit that has grown out of it. That I've always felt like I have an excellent support system, which I know is not what many people of our backgrounds always feel. And I feel very lucky and fortunate for that. And the fact that me and my partner have been able to make that happen and grow that together with our 2 like factions of friends and the dog, and how we go about trying to live life has been very special and something that I'm very thankful for.
Yeah, that sounds really lovely and, like you said, special. And I love that you're experiencing that and just living that out with your partner and friends, and in your own way. I won't even say non-traditional or unique. It's your own way of living, and you're doing life.
Yeah, we're just doing the millennial shuffle, just trying to figure it out.
Exactly. Yep. I just want to ask you if there is one thing you could say to all the listeners. What is your message?
Everything seems really messed up right now, but if you focus in on the people you care about and love, and the things that you care about and love, we're gonna make it through it. We're gonna try to figure it all out. That's what I try to do with my art and the stuff I put out. And if more people are trying to do that, not even just doing it, but just trying to do it, I think we'll end up in a better situation overall.
For sure. Absolutely. That's really beautiful. And this is a good opportunity to plug in your art. Like, if anyone wants to listen to your stuff or find you, where can they do that?
Sure. You can go to my website. It's my name, Miguel Landestoy, Landestoy, .com. And there are links to the podcast there, both the Play Black and the limited series, the Black Artist Hour, which is just premiering this last week, which is really exciting. I just did an interview with a local Boston rapper named Cliff Notes. If y'all know, you know. So check out that interview, and you can also see some of my recordings of my music, both like on Spotify and on Bandcamp and YouTube on the website as well. So just MiguelLandestoy.com. You can get it all from there. Follow us on Instagram at Playback Podcast. Follow us on TikTok, and yeah, check it out because we got a lot of cool stuff going on.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for reaching out, having the time today to chat about your personal life. And
For sure.
Yeah, it's nice meeting you virtually.
Definitely. Thanks for having me on. And maybe we can have you on for a little a podcast swap over at Play Black. I think that'd be a cool thing. We talk a lot about the media we take in and the things that kind of bring us joy. And I'd love to hear what you and your partner share in that regard.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Totally.
Keep in touch, and maybe I'll see you around in the city. Maybe.
For sure. Drop me a message on Instagram, and maybe we can go on like a double date or something.
Oh gosh, yeah, that'd be cool. I'm down for that. Nice.
Definitely. Nice to meet you, Rosin.
You too. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you so much for listening, and please stay tuned for next week's episode featuring Mandy. She lives in Texas, and she has quite the story to share of her experiences in her mixed relationship. You do not want to miss it.